Welcome back to Game On. There is no better way to celebrate a legend than when they are alive, so that they can see they were celebrated. Game On takes this minute to celebrate one and only Dr. Motaung, the chairman. I have met the man a few times, and each time I meet him, I look at him as a father because he's always calm, always poised. You got signed by Kaizer Chiefs from Rangers, right?
That's correct, yeah.
What was your first meeting with the man?
Well, first meeting, I walked into his office and I was in awe. I really was. Back in those days, Rangers were still very much amateurish. Guys were working at the back of the boots and things like that. And then you walk into Kaizer's office, it was still in Bree Street. And the first time I met him, my mouth dropped. He's got such a presence about him, Chris.
What a presence.
What a presence, and always well dressed, always well kept, very calm, as you say, very quietly spoken, but a man of his word. He's one of the few guys in football in South Africa that you can trust. And there's not many I can say that about. He definitely is one of those that if he says something, it gets done. And he keeps his promise. And what a man. I mean, what more can you say about him?
As a chairman, what comes in your mind? What experience do you have of him? Because I remember I was speaking with Max Maponyane. There is a season where you needed a 1 point and something like 5 games, and then you couldn't get it. Did the chairman come to the change room to speak to you, or what was his involvement in Kaizer Chiefs?
That's one thing I can say, Chris, is I've only seen him come down once to interfere. In all my time I was at Chiefs, I've only seen him come down once to interfere. When I say interfere, to come have a few words about what's happening, trying to get the players going again. Only once in all my time that I was there. He's not one of those chairmen that interferes. He's got a coach, and he trusts the coach, and he trusts in the coach. And that's what he did. And I took my hat off to him. I learned a lot from my period there. When I went to SuperSport, I tried to do the same thing. I had a coach, you've got to trust in that coach. You've got to trust in his ability, otherwise why have you got him there? And Kaizer was like that, Yes, he would come down and watch training. He never got involved. My first training session, I stood and he said, go introduce yourself.
Does he go to training sessions?
Not often. But he did then, once or twice. But as I said, we went on the very first day I signed, and he just said, sorry, I don't go down there. That's not my office. That's the coach's office. You go introduce yourself. And I take my hat off to that, He was like that. He had his office. You only went into his office when he requested you to be there. And I loved that.
My disappointment of Dr. Motaung, and I said it once, I was speaking with Brian Mofokeng in one of the YouTube was saying, my disappointment is why he never wished to lead SAFA.
Well, you got to look at it this way, Chris. Your club comes first, and I agreed with him all along, and that's one thing Kaizer's always done. He's always put his club first. He's always been there for his club. He's always made sure his club came first. It's his product. It's his name. It's his everything. So I had to agree with that. SAFA is another story. We all know the problems around SAFA. It's a political thing. So for him, his club came first, and I take my hat off to him for doing that. It really is all about himself, his club.
If that 3 characteristics that you want the younger generations to take from this man, what will be those 3 things that you would like them to know about Kaizer Motaung?
Honesty, professionalism, and a man of his word. That's what I would say. Nowadays, you find they're very far between with any guys, One thing about him, and what I loved about him, Kaizer did it all. He played, he came back, he was playing for the opposition, if you remember, before he went overseas. He's
a Orlando Pirates legend.
He's a Orlando Pirates legend. Yes. He came back, formed his own club. Yeah. Ran his club. He never ever bad with Pirates. Never ever. You'll never hear a bad word about Pirates coming out of his mouth. And I'll take my hat off for that. He could have well done that. He formed his own club. So what I'm trying to say is he's done everything. He's been a player. He's been an administrator.
And the chairman now.
Chairman now. I look up to him as a man that I wish there were a lot more around. If there were a lot more Kaizers around, this country, football in this country would be a better place.
Is it time for Dr. Motaung, with everything that he's achieved and done, for us to allow him to go and sit and enjoy his pina colada somewhere in Cape Town? If that has to happen, what do you see the future of PSL in general, because he's a big part of PSL, PSL in general, or NSL in general, and Kaizer Chiefs, the club that you love so much?
I don't think he's that type of man to go and retire and give up. I really don't. I think he'll work and work and work. You know, he's just that kind of a man. You know, he's made a legend of the club. It's a legendary club. So I don't think he's that type of man. But at the end of the day, I would wish that he could do something like that. Just take a seat back and say, I've made something, I've done well, let someone else run it for now. Take those worries off me, because at his age now, he doesn't need the worries of what's going on in the club. But for me, once we lose Kaizer to football, it's going to be a major loss. And no matter which way you look at it, it's going to be a major loss. You know, he brings that wealth of experience, as you say, calm, collected, and just everything about him. You know, it'll be a major loss to football in this country.
Well, it was a great Thursday midweek to see Kaizer Motaung being inducted while I am alive. It was a privileged moment to experience that. As an African, a son of the soil, I am so happy to see that happening. But I don't think the last word for Dr. Motaung should come from me. I would like you to say the last word to this great man. Yeah,
you know, Dr. Motaung, it's been a pleasure knowing you, pleasure working with you, and really is an honor to be honoring you in this way.
Thank you very much. That is the episode of Game On, where we celebrated the great man, Dr. Kaizer Motaung. We salute you. Until next time, I'm Christophe Bongo. I'll say au revoir.